Thank you for tuning in today. Just a quick introduction about Zaatar W Zeit for those who are not familiar. Zaatar W Zeit is a leading F&B company in the region. We have around 22 restaurants in Lebanon with around 800 employees, 70 franchise restaurants in the Gulf, and one recent branch in Vancouver, Canada. COVID-19 hit hard the F&B industry all around the world. Things have been even more challenging in Lebanon as we are already maneuvering through one-of-a-kind economic crisis. So today I'll be sharing with you a few of the challenges that we are facing in our Lebanese operations, with a focus on the HR role through these difficult times. So the biggest challenge for the F&B is about an abrupt lack of consumer demand. So our business is about bringing people together over food sharing experiences, and then came the outbreak, and it was all about social distancing. So as you can imagine, the measures by the government was to shut down all the restaurants. The work from home state and safety concern had a very high impact on the F&B industry revenue. As HR function, we needed to be closer to the operations and other departments more than ever in terms of being quick to adapt to change. So change not only in terms of the new way of working, like working from home for the head office, but also change in the operating model and the work streams that we had to implement in the restaurants. For example, we had to implement a new procedure, new opening hours, new restaurant structure, new safety guidelines, which we'll discuss later a bit more in more detail. So I just want to mention that we really get our inspiration from the top, from our CEO, who truly believes in finding opportunities in all situations. We are lucky, he understands the importance of adapting of what we are calling now the new normal. It didn't take us much time to understand, for example, that we need to shift from focusing on the dining in experience to providing a seamless delivery and takeaway experience. As HR, we had to instill a mindset of agility. We needed to respond very quickly to customer concerns. So we had, like most companies, a lot of internal communication going on. We had to partner with all key stakeholders, and we had to work as an HR function to pulling together as a team rather than falling apart during this crisis. It has definitely not been done through a push of a button at the beginning of the crisis, because as HR we have been preparing for a while now to instill a mindset in the organization, a mindset of agility, dynamism, productivity through direct or indirect learning initiatives. For example, all of our head of functions and middle managers are very familiar, and they have actually been trained many times on change management. They are equipped with tools on being flexible during constant change. Despite, the ironic thing is that despite the fact that before all of this happened, we had put a plan we had put in place a plan for business continuity. It entailed all different crisis scenarios. However, it did not include reacting in case of a pandemic, as it was really something absolutely unforeseen. So in a nutshell, the biggest challenge was that there was a huge drop in sales, and it was abrupt, unplanned whatsoever. So from one day to another, we moved from a number to another number in sales. And I think this is applicable for all F&B industry all around the world. The second challenge was we were facing a very high-risk workplace hazard. So more than ever, safety became a top priority, not only for our customers, but also for our team. So to survive, most F&B companies decided to keep operating delivery and pick-up or takeaway services, which meant our teams, kitchen crew, delivery drivers, managers, they were all actually exposed to the virus. And we had several concerns, and concerns were raised about how to keep them and their families safe, as well as how to take care of their mental health. We also had a huge responsibility as HR to protect our workforce from being infected with the virus. So what we were doing is first we were emphasizing that safety has been and will always be first, whether to our customers or our people. As you know, even pre-coronavirus, Zaatar W Zeit takes food safety very seriously. We have a team of 6 food safety team members in Lebanon who work around the clock to really make sure we have best-in-class standards in that regard. They do continuous checks, they do lab tests. A lot of procedures are in place to ensure food handling safety. So as you can imagine, with the coronavirus, safety is even more at the highlights of our industry. So in collaboration with operation managers, with our food safety team, we needed to be very, very quick to raise awareness to all team members on the extra safety measures to keep themselves and the consumers safe. We were doing online training sessions, educational material, emails, videos, posters were communicated. And we also made sure that they had tools like, for example, protection gear since day one. We also had a responsibility from HR to take care of the team members' mental health. So we understood that some team members were not feeling comfortable in being exposed. So we provided them with the option to not to report to work in the restaurant. We did some initiatives to boost morale, like for example, we played music in the kitchen. So our kitchen crew were working and dancing at the same time. We had several other initiatives like tea time chats for the head office where people just connected together and had a good laugh. We were sharing learning resources online. We encouraged teams to keep exercising and to take care of their physical health. The third biggest challenge was on our reputation, so reputation risk management. During this outbreak, HR and F&B had a direct responsibility for the brand image, for the reputation and sales. Our nightmare was really that any of our employees, even those who were not working on duty, so our nightmare was that any of them would get sick. It was a nightmare not only because we care about our team members and customers, as previously mentioned, but also it was because given the context in Lebanon, it would have caused a long-term damage to the brand reputation. So therefore, we took extreme measures related to our sick leave policies. Like, for example, we had line managers calling every single team member on a daily basis to check on their and their family's health. Here, I would like to mention that distributed authority is a must. We had a clear strategy from the beginning that we delegated authority to operation restaurant managers, definitely with central coordination with the HR team. But it was definitely teamwork and good leadership from all departments that enabled us to emerge from this crisis. Now, the crisis did not end yet. We have more challenges now, for example, with the new government decision that allowed indoors to open 30%. We have new challenges ahead. So that's basically it. Very quickly, the top 3 challenges that F&B industry is facing today.
Okay, thank you, Joelle. And we will be sharing questions. Okay, so we have a question, Joelle. Due to the COVID-19 and the new um, procedures that people are taking and cooking at home, so how do you think this will have a response on the restaurant or F&B industry?
We definitely noticed a drop at the beginning. People were encouraged to cook at home. They were also being less willing or trying to deliver food. However, especially in Lebanon, we know that the behavior of the customers, they like to experiment different things. So I could say they can get bored quite easily with home cooking, and they would like to order food from different restaurants. Fortunately for the F&B industry. But we definitely understood that we needed to change how things were doing, how we were doing things. So all the departments were working against thinking differently in each and every single thing that they were doing.
Yes, right. We have another question. So, what would you do differently if you knew that this was coming in February or March itself?
I will not deny that more time for planning would have been ideal. I think we would have we would have been stressed way less. We would have worked on digitalizing all of our solutions in a more effective way. And maybe we would have been able, as an industry, to find solutions for pandemic, like in a faster way. For example, our operations team were able to find technical tools to provide the consumer for them to feel much safer. But from an HR perspective, I would definitely say digital readiness. So for us, for this industry, given that we have multiple geolocations for all the restaurants, we also have different ages and different backgrounds for our employees. So maybe not everyone would have, like for example, kitchen crew or waiters or delivery drivers are not all connected at their homes. So maybe we would have been able to have better digital solutions for every team member.
Okay. And we have one more question. What are the types of precautions you are taking in the kitchen, for example? How do you build trust to your customers that all the rules are being followed? And how will this change in the way you plan your strategy going forward?
Yes, so actually I think we have been transparent about the way we have been operating in our kitchen. It's available on all of our social media platforms. There have also been some measures taken by the government itself and regarding restaurants. So now going forward, every single customer has to have his temperature checked. We have social distancing within the restaurant. We have a safe space between each table and another. Our team members are equipped with really super extreme measures on what are the gloves they're going to be wearing, the shields, the masks, the medical equipment, hand gel, sanitizing. Our food safety team are all around our 23 restaurants every single day doing tests and checks and audits. We also have a very solid system when it comes to delivery. We have the option to deliver at your doorstep without human contact. through our application. So you pay online, you get your food at your front door without any human contact whatsoever. So we also, from HR perspective, changed. So our training department or our learning and development department within the HR department put together a new educational video on how to change all the service steps. So definitely things are being handled differently in every single measure. For example, we used to be advising our waiters to be more social and to be more conversative with our clients. Now we are asking them to minimize discussions, to only smile, and to keep distance with the tables, for example.
Yes, Joelle, we have one more question. How do you think this pandemic will affect the F&B industry in the future, especially in the transition period going into normal life?
Yeah. So I think in Lebanon it has been quick, but all around the world, what we are calling today the new normal, is to be just super cautious about food standards. As Zaatar W Zeit in general, we are confident because we already had very high standards in terms of food safety, but it challenged us more to be more empathetic with customers. So F&B industry in general is around customers and is around has an approach of consumer at the center of our business. Now with the pandemic, it's going to become even more important to understand what is the consumer thinking or feeling, or what are his needs in terms of expectations from the service, food quality, safety measures. I think every restaurant today is also looking at a different model. So we saw in Lebanon a lot of restaurants sending, for example, kits for home cooking, because people are going towards retail food more than indoor dining. But in Lebanon, I think if things with coronavirus are at the same pace, so if we were able to contain the virus, I think in Lebanon, people would still prefer to go out, dine in the restaurant, and socialize together, because this is part of our culture.
Sure, we hope so.
Yeah.
Joelle, in Lebanon, we don't only have the COVID-19 to deal with,
Yes.
but we have the Lebanese currency at risk. So, how will you react to the financial situation with the ongoing devaluation of the currency, of the Lebanese currency, noting that people are not being able maybe to buy their daily stuff? So, how will this affect the F&B industry, the Zaatar W Zeit restaurant branches versus all the prices and all the procedures, so.
Yeah. So it's definitely tough. We are looking toward local sourcing. So we used to have some raw materials that are outsourced. Our supply chain team are doing tremendous effort in trying to source local products for every single one of our items. We are actually trying to keep a positive attitude towards all this. We're doing our best to keep thinking positively. We are thinking that we have really hit rock bottom. Hopefully that the coming months will definitely be better than the 2 months of lockdown. So there is a strategy in place from the CEO and management team related to pricing, to sourcing material, and to managing definitely the organization.
Okay, Joelle, we have one more question. How did you manage teams when everyone was at home and a lot of your teams possibly wasn't able to work much at that time?
Yeah. So basically, I didn't discuss today much about remote working because I think other speakers were covering this topic. But we were doing we are already equipped at the head office to do remote working. We had a lot of empathy towards all team members. So, for example, fortunately, we were able to reach out to all team members through our middle managers regarding working hours. We did a vulnerability study on all the operation team members to understand who are the team members who have more responsibility than others. Like for example, we have students who are living with their parents. We have other people, other team members who have more responsibilities. Like for example, they are the breadwinners of the family. And we were trying as much as possible to have that human approach to make sure the schedules that were being put in place were according to this vulnerability, making sure that we all share the responsibility. So it wasn't like some people were working and others were not working at all. We made sure that the schedule at the operations was kind of fair for every team member. Now at the head office, it's true that some departments were more involved or had more work than others, but I can say that almost every department was taking advantage of the situation to, as we say, to clean up work. Like for example, at the HR department, we are split into 3 sub-functions: compensation and benefits, learning and development, and recruitment. So the compensation and benefits department had the opportunity to work on taxes, work on a lot of paperwork that have been pending. The learning and development team had the opportunity to develop material digitally, so digital material to distribute. The recruitment team was definitely the sub-function that has less work to do since we were not recruiting. So the recruitment team was helping we did an initiative goodie bags to distribute for all our team members that had food and other items. So we actually took advantage, so every department took advantage to think of any added value that they can have on the business.
Yes, Joelle. We have a question from Sylvain. He's asking, do Zaatar W Zeit expect that the devaluation of the national currency will have a positive impact on the cost of labor for the company?
Can you say that again?
Yes. So do Zaatar W Zeit expect that the devaluation of the national currency will have a positive impact on the cost of the labor for the company?
Zaatar W Zeit actually has been having a strategy to employ local or national employees since quite a while now. So I can say that we already have more than 80% of our employees who are Lebanese, though we do not discriminate within nationalities and we appreciate diversity. But we think that yes, maybe the devaluation of the currency would make it easier for us as HR to find local talents. So, for example, I think maybe a year ago, it wasn't very appealing, or we would find it hard to find kitchen crew in Lebanon. I think now maybe talent would be easier to find in this industry.
Yes, we hope so. Joelle, given that Zaatar W Zeit are in different countries, how are you managing as the HR on different laws put in place by different countries?
Yeah, actually, Zaatar W Zeit manages is through franchises, so we do not manage direct workforce in the Gulf. So as HR department, for example, we're managing the 800 employees in Lebanon, as well as a couple of employees in Vancouver, as we are direct in Vancouver. But normally we coordinate with our franchisors across the Gulf. But we definitely see, like we are always in touch, and we see the different regulations. Like we know for a fact in Canada, the government response was different than Lebanon. Labor laws are completely different as well.
Okay, Joelle, so we have one more question.
Yeah.
How are you managing the KPIs of the employees during COVID-19 and working from home?
Okay. So it's going to be through two sections for the head office employees and for the operation employees. For the head office employees, KPIs were changed as of day one, so priorities became different. Same for operations. So, for example, as I said, as I gave already the example on HR department, if priority used to be recruitment, now it was learning. If we used to do classroom trainings, we went through doing digital material and videos and educational videos. So every head of department was very fast and agile enough to change the KPIs. And as I said, we have a decentralized approach. So we already have very good managers who are taking care of managing the KPIs. So it wasn't quite much as direct approach from HR to other departments. It was mostly it was decentralized approach. Each manager who has been already trained on setting KPIs and following up on them, he would implement this to his team. Now, we also had an empathetic approach, like definitely in times of uncertainty, we prioritized first things first. So definitely safety was first, and this was applied everywhere. We were minimizing meetings as much as possible. We were making sure team members' number one priority is safety. They are getting enough tools, enough training. We were communicating regularly through phone or any other medium. So definitely priorities changed and KPIs changed as well.
Okay, so thank you so much, Mrs. Joelle, for sharing your insights and experience in regards to the challenges in the F&B industry at Zaatar W Zeit with us today, and thank you for this lovely session. The recording will be available for all the attendees on our vFair platform as of tomorrow. Thank you everyone for being such a beautiful audience, and we will have our last session for today at 4 p.m. with Mrs. Pauline Sawaya. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.